The Shawshank Redemption. Frankenweenie.
Joe Lombardo.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space. What in the world do these three films have in common? Well, they're all movies that did not set the box office on fire, but have gone on to develop a cult following on video. And on this special edition, we're going to discuss the new video cult films, those that are and those that we think should be. I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times.
And I'm Harry Knowles of Ain't It Cool News. Roger, this is a show I'm dying to get into. Talking about cult films is a favorite subject of mine.
Let's start with a definition. What is a cult film? I guess it's a film that some people love and defend passionately, while other people can't see what all the excitement is about. If a film is a hit to begin with, that disqualifies it, because cult films, by definition, have to have supporters who like to think they discovered greatness while everybody else missed the point. The classic recent example of a cult film is the Rocky Horror Picture Show, which taught studios that there was money to be made by specialized re-releases of some of the titles on their back list. Rocky Horror did mediocre business in its original release, and then it became a midnight movie, and it ran, and it ran, and it ran.
You're spaced out on sensation, like you're under sedation.
Sometimes a director will develop a cult following because of his outrageous style or subject matter. That happened with John Waters and his scatological classics like Pink Flamingo, starring the transvestite Divine.
Can't help it, girl, can't help it.
Another cult director is Russ Meyer, whose trademarks of big bosoms and square jaws had developed some unexpected cult audiences. Meyer's Faster Pussycat, Kill Kill has been adopted by some feminist and lesbian groups who have made Tura Satana a cult figure.
You want to prove something, chickies? Let's see who the real chicken is.
And then there are whole genres that qualify for cult status, such as Hong Kong martial arts movies. For example, The Heroic Trio, starring three popular stars, Anita Mui, Maggie Chung, and Michelle Yao.
Get out. I'll take care of him.
But I want to kill him.
You'll be poisoned if you stay.
And those women have all turned up in Hollywood films, along with male stars like Jet Li and Jackie Chan and Chow Yun-fat, because the movies established such a following on video that Hollywood eventually had to recognize there was an audience for those kinds of actors. There was a time when every city had a revival house and every campus had a film society, and movies like those played before real human audiences. The video revolution, unfortunately, means that many films like that have immigrated to the small screen, which is kind of sad, I think.
Absolutely. You know, the whole purpose of going to film school was the idea that, you know, at a university, you could see these films projected on the screen, and you could get a mass audience opinion of it, and you would see what was working and what wasn't working. With that gone now, only having to look at it on video, it's a little sad. You don't get to get all those other people's reactions.
Yeah, a lot of these movies share a lot of laughter. You're delighted or you're amazed or even appalled by stuff, and you share that with the audience at home. In your dorm room or down in your basement watching television, it's not the same, but still, video cults have developed, and that's really what we're going to be looking at on this show.
Absolutely, the Kumbaya films. Remember when that friend called you up in the dead of night and said, you have to see this thing I just saw? Exactly like that? You know you are about to see a cult video. To me, it's the most honest and real of cinematic thrills. It may be one possessed individual that starts the cult by inviting you in and sharing their dirty little secret. My first cult video experience was Footlight Parade. Often overlooked for 42nd Street, it stars James Cagney and features choreography by Busby Berkeley. If Busby Berkeley was drawn to creating ever more intricate patterns, Todd Browning's obsession focused on the strange and unusual in Freaks, a masterful movie about sideshow performers that demands you to join the cult and be one of us.
One of us. One of us.
They're going to make you one of them.
And there's also the modern cult flicks, such as Six String Samurai, which cross-pollinates movies like The Wizard of Oz and Lightning Swords of Death, with the iconic image of Buddy Holly to create coolness. The real secret to cult videos is that someone some group of fans, some community, or some nation loves them. These are the videos that define your specific taste, the ones you first showed to those new friends. They're the movies you take your email address name from, the films talked about in magazines like Film Facts, Film Threat, and in excited whispers and frenzied shouts. Whether it's a film like the straight-to-video supernatural mystery, The Dividing Hour, which sneaks up on you, or the movie with a massive following, like Roger mentioned, Rocky Horror Picture Show. Size matters not. It's that personal movie treasure, that film that is purely your own.
You know, sometimes you look at these movies and you figure they got away with something. You know, there are kind of unwritten rules in Hollywood, what can be done and what can't be done, and somebody somehow got around those rules and made a movie that talks directly to you and addresses your needs, your obsessions, your fetishes, what you love, what you hate, in a real personal way, and you feel like this movie was made for me.
Well, you know, it's like when I discovered Russ Meyer and that whole group of films, I felt like somebody's going to arrest me for watching this stuff, because it's so insane in the way the energy creeps up, and the subject matter, it's beautiful in a totally different way. It's the thing that makes film going and our country and everything about film wonderful, because you get to get these little secrets.
Absolutely. Coming up next, a look at movies that may not have scored big in theaters, but are finding their audiences on home video.
It's a side of the president you've never known.
I'm such an ardent moviegoer, I try to see everything.
His favorite movies.
It was an amazing film.
And favorite actors.
She's just riveting.
On a special Roger Ebert and the Movies.
That's next week on a special edition of Roger Ebert and the Movies.
All right, moving along on this special show devoted to cult favorites, now we take a look at films that for whatever reason either didn't perform well theatrically or went straight to video, but found a following and became video hits against all odds. My first pick here is Kiki's Delivery Service, a brilliant anime work from the creative genius of Hayao Miyazaki, who is often tagged with the moniker of Japan's Walt Disney. The story of a young witch who must live 1 year in another city to prove herself a full-blown witch has never seen theatrical release in this country. However, it has stunned many with its sales performance on video.
This is my first job, and I do not want to be stopped by that traffic cop.
Sam Raimi's Evil Dead 2, a hysterically funny horror flick, had extremely limited theatrical runs, but on video and DVD it's gone on to great success, due largely to the animal magnetism of leading man Bruce Campbell. Frankenweenie never had a chance for an audience because Disney was afraid of this Frankenstein parody short, choosing not to release it as originally planned at the front of one of the studio's animated features. But once fame visited director Tim Burton, who of course directed Batman, this video hit stores and it sold. The Batman Superman movie, the fourth successful animated feature from the creators of the Warner Brothers animated TV series. This series has captured fans' hearts where the live-action Batman and Robin failed to.
I heard you were crazy. I didn't think you were stupid. Bruce Wayne, you peaked.
The secret to the success for all of these videos has rested upon word of mouth. Over the years, the word has spread and more copies have been sold and rented. The key is that they all embody a great deal of originality, an aspect of film that many studio marketing departments have no idea how to sell in theaters.
Yeah, they can't condense it into one sentence. They don't know what it is. You know, you mentioned Kiki's Delivery Service, and I've mentioned before on this show, go into any video store in this country and you're going to find a gigantic section devoted to anime, animated films from Japan. And somebody is renting those films. I don't know who it is, but they're all over the country, and even though they don't surface in theaters, they're a cult phenomenon.
Oh, absolutely. In my personal group of friends back home in Austin, you know, RoboGeek and the rest of them, they love anime.
Okay, sometimes what happens is that a film will become such a hit on video that it inspires a sequel that goes on to dramatically outgross the original film. That happened with Austin Powers' International Man of Mystery, the first Austin Powers film, which did so-so in theaters with a gross of about $54 million, but sensationally on video, inspiring the 1999 Austin Powers sequel that made more than $200 million.
Okay, name. Austin Danger Powers. Sex? Yes, please.
And look at The Shawshank Redemption, which did only about $18 million in its first release and only another $10 million after it got 7 Oscar nominations, but has been one of the top renting and selling videos of recent years.
I guess it comes down to a simple choice, really. Get busy living, or get busy dying.
Another big cult hit on video is Friday, the 1995 film starring Ice Cube and Chris Tucker as a couple of guys who basically just sit on the front porch and watch their world and their lives go by.
Hi, guys.
Hey. And The Last Seduction is a movie whose original distributors had no faith in it. They sold Linda Fiorentino's tough girl performance straight to cable, but it found an enormous audience and then actually did a theatrical U-turn, coming back to theaters before settling in as a cult video.
You have your own place?
Yes.
Is it a sty?
No, it's clean.
Do you have indoor plumbing?
Yes, I have indoor plumbing, I have electricity, and I have a name.
No names. Meet me outside.
Cult movies used to be defined as so bad they're good, but that only accounts for a small percentage of cult titles. And besides, I don't want to get metaphysical, but it seems to me that if they're so bad they're good, doesn't that mean that in fact they are good?
Well, Quentin Tarantino slaps people that say so bad is good because, no, he really likes it. He really loves those films, and that's the same for me. I mean, I have a film back home called Giant Gila Monster. A lot of people, they don't like it, but to me, I love the film.
I have a film like that I like called Inframan, that you've probably seen, one of these Hong Kong movies that really bizarre, ungainly, unlikely, impractical monsters and really awkward dialogue. And yet, when I laugh, I'm not laughing at it, I'm laughing with it because it's done in this style so well that I think that the film gets the point and knows that it's funny.
Absolutely. I think that film was made for kids and made for people that like that type of movie. Those directors knew what they were doing. When we come back, we both choose titles that we would like to nominate as candidates for the cult videos of the future. You've heard of Boys Don't Cry, but what about Men Cry Bullets?
On this special program, we're looking at cult videos, movies that may have done mediocre box office business, but have convinced some people that they have greatness in them. And on this segment, Harry and I are going to nominate titles that we think deserve to become cult hits, both because we like them and because they have some kind of weird cult appeal. My first choice would be Dark City, which I picked as the best film of 1998. It opened and closed in only a few weeks, but I thought it was a bold, visionary statement, and it deserves to develop the same kind of cult appeal as Blade Runner. Another movie I think deserves cult status is Freeway, the very strange modern update of Little Red Riding Hood, in which Reese Witherspoon is a tough runaway and Kiefer Sutherland is a big bad wolf who gets the tables turned on him.
You know, you should just let me out of the car when I asked you to, Bob. See where bad manners get you?
Another prime candidate for cult status is Santa Sangre, the brilliant and bizarre 1989 masterpiece by Alexander Jodorowsky. Santa Sangre is itself about a cult, a group of women who cut off their own arms to honor a martyred saint. And here's a recent film that deserves cult status, Men Cry Bullets, a 1997 melodrama by Tamara Hernandez about a drag queen's love affair with a tough Hellcat who seems directly inspired by Tura Satana in Russ Meyer's Faster Pussycat Kill Kill.
Do you feel like you're kissing yourself?
Yeah, but it feels like something I always wanted to do.
Now, I know a lot of people are sitting at home thinking I have to be crazy to recommend some of these titles, but that's what makes them cult movies. Either you love them or you don't get the point.
Absolutely. The strange titles are one of the hallmarks of the cult video. I mean, you sit there, you see the title sitting on the video shelf, and you pick it up. You go, I have to see what this thing is.
You know, I think that the success of Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, which is in fact a very bad movie, is entirely because of the title. People couldn't believe what they were looking at, and so they took it home to see what it was.
Well, there's the other one, which is the Tomato Ate Cleveland, which if you picked it up, you got a black eye at home.
On the other hand, The Cars That Ain't Paris wasn't bad. When we come back, Harry presents his own nominations for titles that deserve to become cult films, including Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Now we get a peek at my picks for 3 films more than deserving of cult hit status. First, the amazingly hypnotic and beautiful Girl on a Motorcycle. This film by famed cinematographer Jack Cardiff combines elements from later films like The Limey, Easy Rider, Run Lola Run, and Out of Sight. It's a great treat and has only just become available on DVD. Killer Clowns from Outer Space is a pure work of twisted genius from the magic collaboration of the Chiodo brothers. Rarely seen and available sporadically at selected video stores, the title itself is the plot synopsis.
Get me out of here!
Brian De Palma's Phantom of the Paradise is hands down the best super cool 70s film that most of you good folks have never seen. While some may prefer De Palma's Blowout or Scarface, this is my personal favorite of his films. The mixing of Faust, Phantom of the Opera, and the power of rock and roll is pure classic. You absolutely cannot miss with these three films. Your heart will race, your hair will perm, and your toes will curl. Invite friends over and let that show begin.
Now you're dealing in just a little bit of hyperbole here. My hair is never permed during a film, although apparently yours has.
Yep.
But I know what you're getting at, because when you find a cult film that you like, you call up your friends and you use the most extreme language in describing the film to them because you want them to see this film to invalidate your judgment and tell you that you're not crazy.
You have to use that sort of language because if you just describe the title or the concept, they might not get into it. But if they think it's going to do a radical change to their hairstyle, maybe they will check it out.
Yeah, one problem is that if you oversell the film, then they always say, well, you said it was a masterpiece, and I didn't think it was as good as you did. But they have to find their own, I guess.
That's right.
When we come back, movies that would be called films, if only they were available on video, but they're not. On this segment, we want to single out titles that would be naturals for cult status if they were available on home video, but for one reason or another, they are not. And my choice is a legendary missing film by Alexander Jodorowsky, the same man who directed Santa Sangre, which I mentioned earlier. Jodorowsky's lost film is the existential western El Topo from 1970, a film vividly remembered by everyone who's ever seen it, but not many people have seen it because it's caught in a copyright tangle. El Topo is a surrealistic, over-the-top, visionary masterpiece, but it's in a holding pattern, waiting for cult status the moment it becomes available. Somebody's going to make money from that film if they can only decide who owns it.
Absolutely. I always hate it when there's a great film out there, but there's some sort of problem that stands in the way from people getting to see it.
Jodorowsky told me that Alan Klein, who was involved with the Beatles, owns the right to that film and won't return his phone calls. Well, doesn't Alan Klein want to make money? I mean, I don't understand it.
Absolutely, Roger. I nominate Song of the South, a classic that deserves to be rediscovered. Modern sensibilities have forced this 1947 version of the popular Uncle Remus stories into the darkest corners of Disney's vaults. But if this movie ever sees the light of day, children of all ages, as well as parents and teenagers, will be charmed by the magic of a zippity-doo-dah day, the laughing place, and that old briar patch.
Please, Brother, please don't fling me in that brown patch.
Briar patch?
Song of the South is my pick for the unreleased movie most in need of finding its way to every video stand in the world.
You know, Harry, I can understand why a movie lover would want to see Song of the South again, because I remember it very fondly as a very good movie. But you know, it does contain harmful and hurtful images of black people that I think a lot of smaller children do not need to be exposed to. I think it's the kind of film that belongs in film schools, but not necessarily in general release for kids.
Well, I disagree. I think it's the sort of film that can bring those conversations up. If we forget that entire past, if we shuffle it under a carpet, then that's not really doing it any justice. Those that forget history are doomed to repeat it.
Well, unless it just repeats itself, which is also the problem. But I agree with you that it's a film that should at least be available for people to look at and decide about. That's it for this special show. Thanks a lot for returning once again to The Balcony. Remember to check us out on the web at ebert-movies.com, part of Go Network. Next week, a special show, a conversation with the nation's #1 film goer, President Bill Clinton.
The best perk of the White House is the wonderful movie theater I get here because people send me movies all the time.
That's next week, and until then, The Balcony is closed.
Please pass the Polaner fruit.
Would you please pass the
all fruit.
Naturally delicious Polaner all fruit, sweetened only with fruit juice.
For serious oral care, use Rembrandt Whitening Toothpaste. For extra whitening with less abrasion. For a healthier mouth, for the life of your teeth. Rembrandt Toothpaste.
Use Alpha Hydrox AHA treatment to improve the way your skin looks and feels. Bring back that youthful glow with Alpha Hydrox Cream and Lotion for softer, smoother skin.
Closed captioning for Roger Ebert and the Movies is brought to you by
Meatballs and mozzarella, wrapped in the crispy crust of Lean Pockets with only 7 grams of fat. Meatballs and mozzarella from Lean Pockets.